A major solidarity protest has taken place in the London neighbourhood of Brixton to support the amnesty calls for the Windrush generation. More than 1,000 people gathered in Windrush Square to put pressure on the British government to ensure the citizenship of persons whose parents came in the post-war period as citizens and have since faced numerous attacks on their legal right to remain. Many activists and Labour MPs were present at the protest, including Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott, herself a Windrush descendant.
Amber Rudd, Theresa May are apologising, but they shouldn't be apologising. You know why? Because you only apologise when you make a mistake. They knew what they were doing.
Many of those at the demonstration felt racism was at the heart of the government policy and agreed that apologies were not enough.
Well, more than apology, some form of payments or something like that. Britain's supposed to, once and for all, stand up for what they actually started by saying to our folks there was no color barrier into this country. When our folks come onto those, what you call, the Empire, Windrush ship and stuff like those, they was told that Britain didn't have any color barrier. America was a place that carried what you call segregation. And when we come over here, we actually faced it because there was sign, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. You know what I mean? So this was what we encountered when we was a boy.
It is racism. And I've come here because enough's enough. The Windrush generation has been treated abysmal by this government, and it needs to stop. The issues are relating to the policies that have made it very hostile for immigrants, and even when they arrived, some in the late 40s, some in the 50s and in the 60s when my parents got here, it was hostile. Their policies and procedures alienated them, it marginalised them, and it brought around segregation. They had to fight for their very existence, and they were invited to this country to help build the country, and they were treated with disrespect, and it continues in 2018, and it has to stop.
So the fallout from the Windrush scandal is causing great distress to English people of Caribbean origin. Earlier I spoke to Chantal Miller, who attended the Special House of Commons meeting on Thursday about the scandal, and she told me some of the most important takeaways from that meeting.
I think for me, one of the most important takeaways was that we cannot allow this issue to be swept under the rug, as it were, and we have to keep what is happening in the public's mindset. We have to push our local MPs. We have to contact the media with our individual stories and encourage persons to do so. This is vital. This is important. This is not something that we can actually afford to be polite about. That was one of my biggest takeaways.
Now, I know you do a lot of work with the Caribbean community in London. Tell me, how has this affected Caribbean-born English people, and is there widespread feeling of insecurity? And of course, let me just let my audiences know, you are third-generation Windrush, aren't you?
I am indeed. My mother was sent for when she was 6 years old by her parents, who were asked to come to this country to rebuild after the Second World War. So I am indeed third generation.
And talk to me about how the community is feeling, how they're coping with the fallout of this scandal.
We are angry. We are disenfranchised. We are frustrated. It's such a melange of feelings, Soyini. It's anger. It's hurt. You know, as I think it was Diane Abbott said last night. You know, the Windrush generation are some of the most patriotic British citizens that you would ever find. And it's so true. You know, if I don't stand to attention during the national anthem, even if it's been played in my grandmother's house, the looks that I get are serious. So, you know, to have this come up, to feel that all the work that they've contributed to rebuilding this country has been taken for granted, it's like a slap in the face, really. And so the community is angry, and we're hoping to harness that anger into action.